Well, hey, good morning, everybody. Uh, I am with you this morning to kind of give you a heads up on what's going on today. One of the things that's going on is that in exactly 45 minutes at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and at 3:30 Eastern Daylight Time, it's not Standard Time yet, Eastern Daylight Time, 3:30. Yes, in 45 minutes, you're gonna have a live from Brian of DoorDash Sucks and Gig Apps Exposed channels. He's gonna be doing a number of things on there, and I'll probably pop on and say hello too. But you definitely want to catch Brian's broadcast. Will also tell you that I'm going to put a link to that in the chat. That'll probably be helpful, so that you'll have the link to Brian's live at 3:30. I'm going to do something here because we're kind of moving fast this morning, and I want to share a couple things with you. I was on AM Wake Up morning show just a short while ago, and I want to share that conversation with you while you're waiting to have Brian's live come up, and let's see if that works. Uh, Anyone in the chat, please make sure and let me know if somehow you're not getting the audio through. If you are getting this audio through, then please let me know. Okay, let's see what happens here. Go back to this point in the show. And here we go. Let's see if the volume comes through.
From now until the end of time, forever and ever, amen. On my mama, 10 toes down. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in quickly, Mr. Jeff Black. Good to see you, friend. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. That was Claymation. You put up my comment, but man, it's freaking true. Claymation beats the shit out of AI forever because Claymation is real. It was created by humans with feeling and art and touch and soul, and you can fucking see
lots
it
of time
like
and lots of drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like going to church, man. It's like seeing something real.
That's good shit.
How you doing, Skeptic, man? It's great to see you, brother. I love I'm not a Skeptic. Independent Review. I'm sorry, you guys both have black icons on the
good,
Xbox thing. But man, good to see you, brother.
You too, man. How you doing?
It's
yes,
wild.
So real quick, there have been a couple of people that have tried to test the poetry thing, and they've been immediately removed. Yeah.
You said no poetry zone.
Yeah. Well, I did a call-in show a few years back, 3-4 years back, and we were frequently assaulted with poetry, where it was like no consent was asked for.
Right.
You know, there wasn't even a "Hey, can I?" It was I wrote a song about it. Want to here go? You know, and fucking just went right into it. That's unauthorized. I find that to be truly offensive.
Unauthorized poetry will not be tolerated.
Yeah, a lifetime ago, I dated a goth chick who fucking dragged me to all kinds of slam poetry events in Denver, and it forever scarred me. I am traumatized, and I've weaponized that trauma, and I'm lashing out at my entire audience to prevent further traumatization. That's the long and short of it.
I personally think that's fair. Mm-hmm. I personally think that that's fair because we are, all of us, trauma bonding and in recovery.
Yeah. As you know, as much as I've seen Jimmy Dore get kicked around in the chats and stuff like that, his point that America is a nation of adult children of alcoholics, like as a voting population and stuff like that, that's spot on. It really, that's a very keen observation.
It is absolutely spot on, and I have been spot on in writing the same thing in terms of this year of vote your trauma. because that's what people are doing. We're all trauma and abuse survivors, and depending upon the traumas that you had and the abuse that you've had and where you grew up and received that trauma and abuse, you're going to vote for the red team or the blue team of genocidal morons because you're in death cult.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
unwitting members of a death cult that they're actually initiated into.
Yeah. Well, you're initiated into it, and then they keep getting your buy-in because you pay your taxes, you vote, you do all these things that put your head into manufactured consent. And then when they ram genocide up your ass, including your own, you just go like, oh, I guess it has to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. And that's why Steve doesn't need the chat yelling at him, because everybody in this whole fucking chat, however many hundreds of people are watching right now, we all know it doesn't need to be this way, yet it's this way. What does that tell us? That tells us the truth isn't enough. And if the truth isn't enough, then the question is begged, my friends, what is enough? And that's what I write about in Futility and Ignored by the World. I wrote about what would be enough if the truth isn't, but nobody listens to me because I'm a fucking old man who's mostly dead.
Well, we know the truth isn't enough. It was said for, the entire time. Like there's no money in it. Most people don't want to hear it. So this is why
they're going to get genocided like Steve. And Steve, when your truck got burned up, just bad luck, like billionaires' boats who sink when there's no storm that hurts anybody else. It's just bad fucking luck, Steve. Sometimes trucks catch on fire and they burn. Well, when that happened, I sent my buddy Steve a few bucks, even though I don't have any few bucks, because we're brothers and sisters here because we're surviving. That's all we're doing here is we're surviving. And anybody thinks that you're thriving or you're part of something great or an empire or you're nationalistic or patriotic, you just have your head up your ass in a death cult. And I'm really sorry that that's the case. But this is about awakening, and awakening is part of a process of pain. Pain till you can't take anymore. And then you go, holy fuck, I can't take anymore. What am I going to do? And then you awaken. And that's what everybody here is mostly doing, is we're all awakening because we can't fucking take it, Steve.
Yeah. I've never been on that show. He's put up a couple of my tweets over the last like 6 or 7 years, but I've never been on the show. So I don't know. Maybe you are misremembering. Yeah. But yeah, no, Jeff, you're spot on. You are. It's and look, and I don't even think it necessarily. Okay, so there's the slow drip MK Ultra that we're all born into, right? And there's the deliberate, almost forced schizophrenia that we're put into in childhood, where you go from being who you are to being controlled, and okay, you can't do this in this location, you can do this in that location and it's fine, but if we're in this specific location, you can't be you have to be a different version of you. Then you have to be a different version of that when you go to school, and then you have to be a different version of that if you're at Sunday school or church or something like that, and then you have to be a different version of you when you're doing extracurricular activities, and the you-ness that you had has been fractured into multiple different, at least socially presented personalities. And that's something that is really fucked up.
And that all of that you're describing is the process of typical narcissistic abuse, which causes confusion, grief, cognitive dissonance, gaslighting, trauma, and ultimately death of the ego, if not death of the actual human physical body. And that's what we're all experiencing here right now, is the group ego, which was called the United States of America, nationalism, patriotism. That thing's dead. That thing's dead. The thing we grew up with, it's Steve in Indiana and me in Oregon and our friend, the Independent Review, wherever he grew up. Where'd you grow up, Independent Review?
I live in Oregon now,
and he's Ryan too. You don't,
you live in Oregon like me. We're the West Virginia of the West, right?
Right.
We're the West
absolutely.
Virginia
I've lived in
of
West
West.
Virginia.
We are economically and morally bereft here in Oregon because we have nothing. We're not attached to anything, and we're just flailing around out here, losing every single day. Now, I want to finish up at our new friend, Greg. Hey, Greg Walker. I've never met you before, but I've seen you in the chat many times. So what we're all suffering right now is the cognitive dissonance, the grief, the loss, and the confusion. And there's only one way out of that, and that's to awaken to the present moment and what's real.
All right, get the fuck off me.
Lies of death cults, not the lies of anything else, but the truth. And the truth is right there in a doggy who's living in the present moment. That's why we love our dogs and our animals.
Right.
They're in the present moment. They're the truth. Hey, Greg Walker.
I gotta tell you the craziest fucking story on the back of this, and then we'll welcome Greg with his half Ricky Ricardo, half Ryan Spencer haircut. I had a roofing gig at a Buddhist retreat in Bonnie Doon, California, Santa Cruz Mountains, overlooking the coast and like a little bit of the UCSC campus. And my boss had this little like half Chihuahua dog called Squirt. Squirt was the shit. He was. Yeah, no, never was. Never once. And yeah. Have never appeared on the program there. Yeah, Kurt's been on this show a bunch of times. But the Buddhists told my boss, Kelly Moriarty of Moriarty's Roofing, if anyone ever needs a roofer in Santa Cruz County or extended area, go ahead and call Kelly. He's the shit. They told him that dogs weren't on the property because dogs weren't Zen. I was like, dogs are the most Zen fucking animals on the planet. They just are. Their being is to be. I don't know how you could get more Zen than a fucking dog. You guys are asshats. I disavow you. But we're still going to take your money. Dogs aren't Zen.
What? Dogs are Zen as fuck.
Gomez is not as zen as they come. Mischievous as hell, but very zen.
Well, Gomez is the moment. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a pit too, so he likes to be like, what? I have a block for a head. I didn't know.
It's a fucking engine block too, man. Jesus.
No, that's some good stuff. It made me think, Jeff, when you were talking of, I'm trying to say this somewhat more eloquently because I'm not the smartest person to put it the right way, but I was listening to Lieutenant Colonel Drizzle, shout out to him, and his show with, he had Angry North on. And when he was talking about the end and just bringing up, as all you guys already know this stuff, but, you know, just the way they kind of divide each generation with making the next generation kind of isolate from the other one, you know, their kids and how that he was talking about a lot of that kind of started in the early 1900s, maybe before. And I totally get that. And I 100% agree with that. And then it makes me think that's a good way to pin, you know, each generation again and kind of, you know, dissipate from each other. But then you think of, okay, what about the same generation that keeps forgetting what just happened even like 5 years ago? And then, you know, as far as like, how about something as simple as all the people that are against Dick Cheney and now they're all happy with him being on Kamala's side? Like this stupid, I know that just goes back to the dumb two-party, you know, people on their favorite team kind of dumb stuff. But how do people have that short of retarded memory with stuff, you know? It blows my mind.
You mean the process to goldfish brain?
Yeah.
Kind of what
yeah, I just don't like.
What you get in a death cult, though, right? Is
it's
that
crazy.
One characteristic of cults that people forget is that cults only get more extreme in their requests and in their demands and in their actions. So cults only move one direction towards extremity. And if you're ever expecting a cult to go back towards sanity, that's the opposite of what's going to happen. So again, it's about accepting our present moment of what these people are. Yeah. What are these people who take leadership in an empire?
What are behaviors in cults?
Organized criminal fucks that want you dead. That's the
don't
only
allow
thing
questions.
You're not going to
shun
save
people
you.
Who go against the philosophy of the cult. Your own family members, even. Politics is a fucking cult.
Yeah.
When you have people like, oh, my cousin voted for Trump, so we don't talk to him anymore. That's fucking cult behavior.
What happens when you leave
100%.
the cult is they cut you out. And look, the person writing about narcissistic empire abuse, that would be me, is a very sad person whose own mommy and daddy don't love him and accept him. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So me, as a 56-year-old man who's not loved by my 83-year-old parents and not accepted because I don't follow the death cult, I get it, right? That's a lot of pain for me. It's very painful to have parents still living that I can't have a relationship with, whom I love, by the way, because they gave birth to me and raised me, even if they weren't perfect. I don't hate them, but my life is a lot of pain. And one of the reasons I understand that pain is that my own parents have turned their back on me. And yes, when the empire turned its back on me, was I surprised? No, because my own mommy and daddy did it. So it helps me. Hopefully, most of you have mommies and daddies that love you. I love my kids. I don't abuse my kids. But we are mostly abuse victims. So we're voting our trauma. We're acting our trauma. We're acting out of desperation, and we're acting out of scarcity. But it's manufactured scarcity. It's not scarcity in our world that's full of abundant trees and dogs and love and us. It's the mental scarcity of manufactured scarcity that's that an extended empire that's occupying us is using to control our minds. So it's in our heads, Steve, and I know you know that because you don't need people to yell at you to tell you.
That's fair. That's fair. I definitely prefer to not be yelled at in general. But Dave, good to see you, my friend.
Sup, amigo? How y'all doing? Just thought I'd pop in here for the last part of the show.
Okay, let's also
Nature
find
boy,
out who.
What's happening?
Let's find out who useless idiot several 05 is.
My guess it's harps.
Harp shows up on camera.
Look forward to Nature Boy in the next finale.
Are you
Say
going
something, not harps? You got an Australian
I've been
accent?
wanting to ask you for a while. When am I going to get my ass beat, brother?
Oh, very
I
soon.
feel like I'm left out of the crew, man.
And if you have any beefs you want to fight, let me know. I'll put you out there. But you're in the finale, and it's a good one.
Was that the Ric Flair?
Yep.
Your mom like Ric Flair. I caught it on the trailer.
I was like, oh, is that me, man?
I had to play. That's not your outfit in the ring. That was your entrance. But I made sure to do no shoes to go with your Nature Boy story, your origin.
Heck
story.
yeah.
You're great, brother. You know your shit, man. I watched that thing this morning. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a good one.
That shit gets me pumped.
Yeah, man.
And there's more surprises that you didn't see in that trailer that Steve will see at Raw when he does it. And it's going to be, I
just
can't wait
got
for his reaction.
the email from 6 last night. And I think next Wednesday, we're going to put that down on wax.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that going to be the debut, or is it going to be next Thursday?
No. We'll debut it Friday after independent review. After independent review wraps. Not counting the AM wake up clips because I can't stand to listen to me, and that would make the show very, very long. I'm
the same way. I cringe when I have to go back and review my shows and stuff like that.
Although I did drop the AM Wake Up 2023 year in review that Chris compiled in the Telegram group last night, and I found myself like listening to about half of it because I don't talk much. And it's just like, holy shit, dude, we did have a whole bunch of wild ass people come through the show that year.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Hey, Nature Boy, good morning. I don't think I've ever had the opportunity to say hi to you in person.
Morning,
Nature
Jeff.
Boy's fantastic, Jeff.
Yeah, I've seen you online a lot. It's nice to
Yeah,
meet
yeah,
you, Jeff.
yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have my camera on here, so
It's all
you
right.
know, I'm not camera. I'm just taking a break from work, so I'm definitely not
Dave,
camera.
Cheating on work.
No, I'm just taking a break, brother. Just taking a break.
What is work though, right? What is work for any of us? Is work something that produces money, a medium of exchange from the empire, or is work something that produces survival for us human beings? I'd like to hope that Steve's work is survival, not empire money. I'd like to hope that your work, Nature Boy, is human survival, not empire money, because this empire fiat currency is worthless as shit.
Yeah, to me,
little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Well, work to me is it's I work to live. I don't live to work. And fortunately, I have a job that I really enjoy, right? With a very good, stable company. And but it has nothing to do with my self-worth. Have y'all ever known, and I'm sure we all known people, that they are what they are, not who they are. I'm an executive. I'm a producer. Their whole persona seems to be wrapped up in that title of their job.
There's a solution for that. Do a massive amount of mushrooms until you experience an ego death.
No, I don't do the ego death, brother. I learned a long time ago. I do not like my ego dying.
It's just you'll realize you're not what your title is.
Yeah, I don't need mushrooms to tell me that, brother. But, yeah.
Most people's egos don't die until they're in so much pain that they want to kill themselves. And so the alternative to killing themselves and ending life that way is to end it with their ego. That happened to me because I was drummed out of the economy, the corporate world, my family, and the rest of society as a $0 dead slave. And that's what I am today, is a $0 dead slave. But that's also why I can tell the truth and why I enjoy my life. It's because I no longer give my life to people that are trying to murder me with slavery and the lies of a death cult. It makes me a unique person. It's not very fun to be me sometimes. I'm not suggesting you do any of the things I've done because it's not a good way to live 56 years, but I'm doing it. And at least I'm kind of like Steve's dog. I'm here in the present moment to show you that I exist. And that's all I am. That's all I am. He's a pile of goo. But I'm a pile of goo who does something.
I was trying to explain some of this to Monica Perez and her audience this week. Mm-hmm. And that was a good talk. I hate talking about like me in general, but she kept asking, and you know, I was oversaturated with psychedelics very early. I actually have died a couple of times. There's, you know, that puts you into a perspective box that is definitely outside of the mainstream. But because I started so early, I've only like dipped a foot into society every once in a while, and it always has the exact same reaction where I have to yank it back real quick. So like, oh no, I don't like the way that fucking feels. That ain't, you know, it's so unnatural to the point to where, you know, I'm about on par with where Keith McHenry is. Every once in a while, I'll apply to a fucking normie job just to get rejected. Because, you know, especially ones that require, you know, a background check or something like that, you know, and they're just like, we're not allowed to hire you.
I've played that game before, Steve, to check in every once in a while and make sure I'm
still
worthless.
Yeah, well, it's not worthless. It's not worthless.
The Empire I am.
Well, no, because there's a huge difference between worthless and dangerous. You know, so there's that to be considered. You know, because you're a problem, and problems aren't worthless. There's an inordinate amount of money that is spent by the Empire on problems.
That's true.
So you have a ton of value. So don't ever for a moment sit there and think that you're worthless. You're worth a fuck ton.
That is nice of you to say. And actually, as a lifelong victim of narcissistic abuse, I do feel worthless inside as a human being. And I have to learn daily and remind myself daily that I'm not worthless, because that is the way that I am seen and treated by most people who have known me for a very long time. But you're correct, Steve. I am not worthless. And I do take a purpose in this present moment. I appreciate what you're saying very, very much. But again, this isn't about me. All I am is an example of somebody who is still alive, who has fought against the system in every way, shape, and form that I could. And I've taken all the blows for it. But here, I don't expect that system to save me. I don't expect to be able to vote for somebody that's going to give me peace and the present moment and a world that my kids can survive in. I know that nothing in the empire, nobody in power, nobody in politics, nobody in the military industrial complex or the prison industrial complex is working to allow my kids to live their full natural lifespan, which is not going to happen unless those of us around here today start taking individual collective action to reject the empire. We're heading down a very bad road, and there is no way back.
God bless you, Jeff.
That you know, that bad road got paved a long time ago. I think you made a point earlier on about the like the lack of, you know, legitimate nation states or something like that. And yeah, dude, we've been living under a global technocracy for the better part of 50 years, if not a little bit longer. And anybody who's still pushing, you know, red team, blue team, anybody who's still pushing, oh, but if we just get this party to 5% so they get matching federal funds, like you're trying to put new parts and replacement parts on a machine designed to kill you. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's the redesign of the machine, the fundamental redesign of the machine, removing all of the aspects that are there to break you and removing all of the aspects that are designed to kill you that needs to occur. And until people get past the notion that you can fix the machine by slapping shiny new parts on it every couple of years, it's not gonna fucking sink in. Right. The machine designs as function. It's not a fucking bug. It's
Absolutely.
a feature.
And that's what crackpot realism is. And Steve, one of the reasons that you do what you do, and one of the reasons I do what I do, is that both of us. I can't speak to all of your experiences with police, but I was abducted, rendered, and tortured for 27 hours in the city of Centralia, Washington, by the police there for no reason other than I was walking on their sidewalk and they told me to get out of their town, and I suggested they fuck themselves. So I've been tortured literally to death. I happen to.
Is the movie Rambo based on your life, Jeff?
Yeah. So that was an experience for me, who had never been arrested before in my life at that point when I was 44 years old. That was a little wake-up call to me, to be tortured to death for no reason as an innocent person who'd never been arrested or charged with any crime at 44. Now, that wake-up call then went into activism, went into me going into jail and being a jail slave and doing lots of different things that I experienced. Again, Steve's done a lot of those same things. Steve's had a lot of experiences standing up and being counted against the system and putting his own body on the line to pay the price. Now, I don't suggest anybody in this audience wants to do what Steve and I did. And I'm also going to tell you that Steve and I probably wouldn't do it again, because when we did it, we believed we could maybe change things by throwing our body on the line. I don't even believe that anymore. I would not go to jail for you again, because I don't believe it would make any difference if this old man's body died in jail, and that's all they're going to do is kill me. Okay?
Just take the mushrooms, kids. That's an ego death the hard way.
Yeah, you learn the hard way. But that's why Steve and I are still here alive, so we can tell you, don't do it the hard way like Jeff and Steve. That's why I love Steve, because Steve's taken all the fucking blows to the face that I have. He's had his truck burned down. He's had his life ruined. He's been broke. He goes from home to home, tries to build a life.
And I salute you guys, man.
The
You guys
Empire's not going to let us live, man. It's not.
Everyone who risked their freedom, their livelihood, their life, I respect that does this, regardless of where their political background comes from.
Right, but again, Steve and I are not sitting here telling you that we're heroes and you should replicate us. We're just saying we've seen shit and we awakened, and you don't have to be a fucking moron like us. I'm a moron. Don't be like me. I tell my kids, don't be like me. Don't
I would
like
advocate a much different path than the one that I took, and I took it because I thought it was the path that you were supposed to take if you wanted to do that thing. And I learned, a little bit too late, I would imagine, that's just ultimately part of the false binaries that we were discussing yesterday on the Alliance panel. And the expected and accepted types of quote unquote protest are always have parameters set around them that when you're in it and you're a part of it, you don't see, because you're focused on the thing that you're focused on.
And we're also acting out of our own trauma, right? Me as a survivor of police torture, me as a survivor of 9 arrests and all kinds of police fuckery, right? I have different trauma. So my reactions as this human pile of goo are going to be different reactions than somebody was tortured than somebody who was not tortured for 27 hours by the Centralia police. Okay. And by the way, I do have this torture on audio tape, because police are so stupid that they take your phone from you while it's on record, put it in their pocket, and then torture you on tape. Okay. So this is not something that I need to make up. This is not narrative. Our human imagination sucks ass. I could never make up the awful things that have been done to me. I'm not even capable of doing that. Because it's a nightmare, man. The real world of jail is a nightmare. If you celebrate people going to jail, you're celebrating human torture every day, no matter what they did. You are torturing human beings every day. The military-industrial complex, the prison-industrial complex, the medical-industrial complex. Every industrial complex of this empire is murderous, genocidal fuckery.
I mean, listen to Keith McHenry talk about what happened to him when fucking San Francisco threw him into their birdcage torture fucking cell. It's crazy.
I have him on
Useless
tape.
Idiot. Welcome. You gonna sound off for us? Was it a bad connection thing last time? Barely, man.
Just barely.
So here's the funny thing, Steve, and you know this. When the police torture people, they laugh. because I have the guy, the main pig that arrested me, go into the sergeant's office with my phone in his pocket, and he says to her, she says, "You give him a real good lesson out there?" And he said, "Yep, we are." Because they have me where they deliver the mail. They take you into the police bay, they shut the garage door, and they beat the fuck out of you. Okay, so they delivered the mail. I was the mail, and he said, "So, how you doing with that?" And we're teaching him a good lesson. And she said, "What kind of drugs do you think he's on?" And he says, "I don't think he is on drugs. I think he's just pissed off." Well, they got that right. I was pretty pissed off, and no, I wasn't on drugs. But that's what they do, right? They show up and they gaslight you, they threaten you, and then they gaslight you and go like, "Oh, how high are you?" And I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about, Skippy?"
The last time,
I'm
the
just
last
trying
time
to
I,
help you. Are you feeling okay, sir?
the last time I had
Yeah.
an altercation or incident with the state goons, when it came to the court appearance, the lawyer that I had, and he was a public defender, but he was a Fourth Amendment specialist public defender. And this was they totally it was everything about the stop was dirty. It was a Fourth Amendment violation, start to finish. The lawyer recognized that. And then the tape, because I knew my rights when I got pulled over, and I was like, "No, I don't consent to any search of my vehicle. No, I don't do this. And no, I'm not answering questions. I would like to have an attorney present." And they were like, "Well, we can tow your car." And I said, "No, you can't. And you're going to pay for it. But if you force me out of my vehicle and you take me away from my car, then I'm going to walk away." And so I did. And then they put 6 guns on me. And then they put me in the back of a police car. And then they searched the car and they found the 3 pounds of weed that were in it, that were on their way to the Santa Cruz Veterans Alliance Collective as a donation from multiple different growers, so that veterans with PTSD could have access to cannabis instead of pharmaceutical
and not only
help.
this, we're talking about a state in which, in case people don't know, we're talking about a state that Steve is within the borders of, where pot is legal, but maybe not in the weight amount that he was carrying.
Yeah, I was a pound over.
Right.
And I was.
This is where the drug sniffing dogs fell apart, because the dogs can smell pot in anywhere or nowhere. All the handler has to do is just tug on their leash right, and they'll give the signal for that they smelled something. Now, this is, again, so Steve is in a state where pot is legal. Everything he's doing is legal, but the cops want to put it on a scale and see if he's a criminal or not. I mean, how fun is that?
Right, they're, by an arbitrary designation too, without any consideration for intended purpose, and that's ridiculous on its face. However, so the cop that pulled me over, that did the dirty stop because I was driving while poor in Saratoga, California, which is a crime.
Yeah.
I was in like a. Go ahead.
I said I've gotten pulled over in Saratoga in the 90s.
Yeah,
damn near got a DUI, and I had my truck, and I'm like, oh, I'm on the way to a concert, right? Second time of the day I got pulled over for expired
last time
tag.
I take the shortcut to Shoreline.
Oh, hey man, I got out of that truck as fast as I could, and he's like, "Get back in your car, get back." I says, "Well, my license is in my backpack back here." So, and first thing I did is opened up the cooler, and I had a bunch of like cucumbers or carrots, and I just started chomping on one and walked up. Tried to act all cool, and I could
Chalant.
Say what?
Chalant as a motherfucker.
Hell yeah, brother.
This is
luckily, dude didn't get a whiff of my breath. So
Steve, you're not going to be surprised at all. But I lived in.
Well, hang on, Jeff. Let Nature Boy finish.
Oh, that was pretty much it, man. I mean, I was lucky that I got out. He was a Saratoga cop looking to do whatever he could, but because I kept the distance. I was.
Did you swallow the cucumber
and I
whole,
looked
Dave?
fairly normal, right? He was like, "Oh, okay. Well, you wrote me a ticket for expired tags," and a year later, to the day I showed up to court, handed the piece of paper. I got my tags. They wrote it off, and then I took off to Santa Cruz that night with me and my dog.
These dumb fucks pulled me over for a third taillight that was allegedly out, and then on the freaking dash cam, it shows the third taillight active. And then so they're tossed from that, but the way that it proceeded has there's an audio recording of the second officer in the car telling the officer that did the stop how are you going to unfuck this situation? And that got played in court in front of the judge, and the judge was like, "You're a fucking embarrassment."
Oh my God.
Yeah, case dismissed. Everybody get out.
But this is how they do it all the time. And there's no consequences for being a bad cop. There's no consequences. They get out of it every single time. And
yeah, so, I'll tell you what, though, Jeff. Okay, from the time that I got pulled over to the time that I went to court, the cop that pulled me over was in uniform with a sidearm. When I walked into the courtroom, he was a non-weapon carrying security guard at the courthouse.
That's beautiful justice, and that's very rare. I spent 2 years in Bloomington, Indiana, recently. I've been back in Oregon for about a year and a half now. But Steve grew up in Indiana. In Indiana, a friend of mine was married to a cop, and guess what these cops do in Bloomington? They go to the local bars and they take a highlighter and they draw across the headlights of everybody that's parked in the parking lot, and then they can just cruise around, and everybody that comes out of the bar, they just drive around and look for everybody with the highlighter marks on their headlights and then pull them over for no reason. And guess where they know they've been? So this is the kind of silliness that's going on. When you wonder how police do their job, this is how they do their job.
That's such a revenue generator. I lived in Bloomington for a few years before I moved, or lived outside of Bloomington. But lived there for a few years before I moved out to Colorado for the first time. And this is the late 90s, and it was even more hectic with the cops back then. This is the days before cell phones and body cams and all that kind of shit. They were shady as fuck, dude. What you had to do if you stayed at the bar a little bit too long is either make sure you were staying at somebody's house that night that was within stumbling distance, or if you had to take a drive home, you parked fucking at least a quarter mile away.
That's right.
And everybody took a very circuitous route back to the fucking vehicle before you got in it.
But remember, police can pull you over and charge you with intoxicated driving if you blow 0.00. Right? They can pull you over with probable cause because they said you swerved or you touched a white line or you touched a
driving erratically,
a yellow line, whatever.
Wet and wild.
Exactly. They have any reason to pull you over. And again, if they have the knowledge that you have been to a place where there is alcohol, they do because your headlight has the mark on it, or they followed you or whatever else. It doesn't matter if you are within the legal limit. They can still charge you, right? And those tests are not accurate. The roadside tests are not accurate. That's all just a bunch of fuckery that you're twisted into, and no matter what you do, you're going to lose that game. Like this is the justice system and the system of jail torture and slavery and everything else that we're in. And of course, who gets pulled over and penalized and everything else is the poor people. And so sometimes, sometimes justice intervenes if Steve's a pretty smart, savvy guy who's had a lot of police interactions. Most people that get pulled over by the cops have never had that experience before. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to protect themselves. And you can be like me. You could be 44 years old, and the first time you ever get screwed up by a corrupt cop, they might murder you. And they're going to tell everybody it was your fault and you deserved it, by the way.
He was coming right for us.
Yep.
So do we think people who believe in the justice system are just like a different denomination of the death cult as opposed to voting harder?
They're not awake yet. They're not awake yet. They're not saying they're evil, but they're not awake yet.
The legalese is going to save us somehow?
Yeah.
But that's just not true. It's just not plausible. It's not in our present moment. Like future promises about changing our world and finding a system of justice are just talk. Our present moment is a moment of war, jail, slavery, military-industrial complex, and total crackpot realism from an empire that's dying. That's our present moment. Doesn't matter what else you say.
So a piece of paper called the Constitution isn't much of a shield against it.
Nope. Nope. That's if the Constitution mattered, then the facts would be enough. But Steve shows the facts on here every day. I have the facts in my book. I just did a couple programs with Patrick Lovell of who did a 5-part documentary series on fraud in the American housing system. $71 trillion of fraud. It's all proven. Like the reason we're houseless and the housing market is bid up to exorbitant prices in a giant bubble is because it's intended that way by an organized criminal scheme that's run by the government. It's an inside job. Now, people don't want that truth, and they don't care if it's true. They still don't want to do something about it. So the truth isn't enough, right? The truth and facts aren't enough. They're necessary,
people
but not
want
sufficient.
The solution to be passive and don't want to actively. Yeah.
Right. Well, and it might be. I mean, none of us here are global actors, right? We might just wake up tomorrow and the solution is passive because time goes on and things don't stay the same. The world is going to change, and it might change and we might be alive, or it might change and we all might be dead, right? So things will not stay the same. That's a fact. That's also a product of our present moment. But Kamala Harris's promise about you getting housing in 2026 is as worthless to you as the day is long, and we got a long fucking day ahead.
Well, it's a 15-minute city guarantee is what it kind of comes down to. And then on top of that, like, this is why
housing slash a coffin.
Yeah, this is why I've been banging on about, the way out of this is counter economics, parallel systems, parallel societies. We have to create the culture that we want to live in. We got to stop reacting to the culture that's been forced on us. And it's one of the reasons that I'm stoked on, the Independent Media Alliance aspects and what could come out of it, is because that's a driving force for a culture that we want to live in. You don't have to agree with everybody. You don't have to fucking look at any particular individual as like the arbiter of all knowledge and information. That would be retarded, but what you can take away from it is that it's a legitimate effort to create the kind of culture we want to live in. And unless we're focused on that, and I know it's very difficult for people who are fucking locked in with trying to keep up with, rent bills, mortgage, whatever. You can take baby steps every single day. This is what we've been talking about since day one, period. But, more so since Slim started coming on the show. There's like tiny little acts of rebellion you can take every single day that get you further and further and further away from the technocratic state. It's the inverse of what Jordan Peterson talked about in terms of how totalitarianism happens, where they push you until you go, wait, and then they don't back up, but they stop. And then when you get comfortable again, they push and push and push until you go, hey, what the fuck? And then they stop, but they don't back up. And so before you know it, you're miles away from where your original line in the sand was. You can do that in the inverse. And that's what I'm advocating. I think it's what most of the people, if not everybody involved in that project's advocating too.
Steve, it's not one of the answers. It's the only answer, because it's the only thing you're in control of. It's the only thing you can do in your present moment. I mean, you could go wish about 2026 like Cop Mala. What fucking difference is that going to do? You're just making up stories too. Like the present moment, you can do something.
Well, and I gotta wrap up here shortly and go feed the dog, and then do my critical hour homework. Again, I'll put that link in the chat. If you're not already in the Telegram group, if you're not already there, you should get there. I have a person or two to thank. Okay,
Steve, I'm gonna say goodbye to you and all our friends here. Thank you so much for letting me get on and shout at you. I don't mean to shout at you, but I get real excited about this stuff because I just see it killing us. And I just want to make one point about the cops. My friends who went to the police academy, if you ask Black people and women at the Oregon Police Academy in Salem why they're there, when they know that they're people that look exactly like them and have the same demographics are being murdered, raped, and persecuted by the cops, you know what they're going to say is they don't want to be them. And so that's what we have to decide in this society is, do you want to join the power team so that it's not you that's the victim? And is that why you're going to join the Nazis and the banality of evil because you don't want it to be you? Or are you going to be on the team over here with the 5 people on the screen here and everybody in the audience and choose the present moment and say, yeah, I know my family and I could maybe survive better if we sold out and became perpetrators, but I'm not going to. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate you, Steve. I appreciate you, the Independent Review, Greg, Nature Boy. I appreciate all of you folks, and I'm very grateful to have shared a few minutes with you this morning. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and peace to everyone. Thank you.
Cheers, Jeff. Good to see you again, my friend.
Good to see you, Jeff.
Nice talking to you.
Tinfoil Hat Girl, thank you very much.
Well, I'm back live. This is me here live talking to you right now. Thank you to my friend Steve, who's had a show called Slow News Day for many, many years now, and has a morning show called AM Wake Up that you can find on Odyssey, Rumble, Rockfin, all over the place. It's a great show. He's got real diverse viewpoints, but it's a very awakened show, right? They're looking at the real world challenges that we have. I saw Sam Lee in the chat. Hey, Sam Lee, nice to see you. Our friend Brian of DoorDash Sucks channel, rideshare drivers, delivery drivers, rideshare alliance, and gig apps exposed. Brian has lots of channels and has done lots of work in our space for a very long time. He's going live in about 14 minutes at 12:45 Pacific Daylight Time and 3:45 Eastern Daylight Time today, just in a few minutes. I hope you'll join me over there in Brian's chat. Again, I'm gonna put the link right here in our chat. There it is. And what is it called? It's called this. It's called well, I guess it's called Full Dash Closure. Thanks, Brian, for mentioning the name of the book there that we're working on, and the project that we're working on. Let's see what we got here. Make sure I got the link right so that you guys can go to it. There we go. Now I got the link right. Got a space in there. What? No, don't end the stream. They put the end the stream button is right next to the chat button. And if you push the end the stream button instead of the chat button, you're going to get a very big surprise if you're trying to broadcast to somebody. So Full Dash Closure, Waking Up to App Slavery with special guests. That would be me, Jeff Thomas Black. I'm going to be over there on Brian's DoorDash channel, Delivery Drivers, Rideshare Alliance, and Gig Apps Exposed in just a few minutes. Look forward to that. Brian's a great guy. He's been working in this space for such a very long time and knows so much. I love to talk to him about this stuff. I love his viewpoints on what's going on in our world today. Looks like he's having some type of technical difficulties that he's working on. And look, we're flexible people here. If Brian is having technical difficulties, maybe we'll just have him join and we'll do the live on this channel. This is Brian's first live, and if Brian's having issues, well, then we're going to figure it out. I'm calling Brian right now to figure out if he's having issues. So stand by. Keep your eye on Brian's channel. Keep your eye on this channel. I know there's a few of you watching here right now, and I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and end this stream so that we can prepare to come back live for you in about 10 minutes. Just keep your eye on the notifications, and we'll be there. Thanks for watching AM Wake Up this morning. That rebroadcast with Steve. We're talking about present moment awakening. We're talking about what are the economics of work. What is this system? Is there justice? Is there freedom? Are we free? No, we're not. We're not. There's a lot of truth to what we're going on right now that's in the present moment, and none of it conforms to the lies that you're being told by politicians, which is what politicians do. They lie to you about the future or the past. They don't tell you the truth in the present moment, and the truth in the present moment is the only way that we can help ourselves. So thank you very much. This has been another edition of the Full Dash Closure audiobook and podcast. And thank you, Steve, and AM Wake Up, and all our friends over there. We'll see you again, and I'll see you again soon, probably with